My name is Denise Evans, and I am with Butler Evans Real Estate, commercial brokerage and consulting. Today's question is a frequently asked question regarding the maximum security deposit you as a landlord can charge for a residential tenant in Alabama. Who is Butler Evans Real Estate? I'm Denise Evans, JD and qualifying broker. I've been involved in commercial investment real estate for over 25 years as a Texas litigation attorney in the real estate and banking field, and then as an Alabama investor, developer, broker, consultant, University of Alabama clinical professor in real estate, owner of Butler Evans Education, and nationally published author of real estate books. We offer buyer and seller brokerage services for investors and business owners in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. We also provide statewide consulting services regarding optimizing sales prices for commercial properties, with a specialty in rental properties, but any commercial properties, optimizing sales prices, increasing real estate revenues, loan and investor presentations and packages, site selection, short sale negotiations, and other matters. So that's what gives me the background to be able to offer these videos to you with some credibility. This is the question that comes up often. I am worried about the credit worthiness of a tenant prospect. Can I charge several months' rent as security deposit? In the Alabama Uniform Residential Landlord Tenant Act, at Alabama Code Section 35-9A-201, it says, a landlord may not demand or receive money as security in an amount in excess of 1 month's periodic rent, except for pets, changes to the premises, or increased liability risks to the landlord or premises for tenants' obligations under a rental agreement. And so when I tell people that, they say, but isn't there an increased risk with this tenant? There might be an increased risk of credit loss, but the statute says increased risk of liability. The word liability means you, as the landlord, might get sued for something because of this tenant. So let me give you kind of an extreme example. If you're familiar with the series Breaking Bad, Walter White, main character in that. So you're a landlord and you're reviewing somebody's tenant application, and you say, oh, Mr. Walter White, I see that you depend on the large-scale manufacture and distribution of illegal drugs for your source of income. And I am concerned that if I rent this house to you, there will be an increased risk of liability to me as your competitors engage in violence and drive-by shooting and harm my pest control man who's on premises who will sue me, or kill some of the neighbors and their heirs will sue me. So because of the increased risk of liability due to you being my tenant, I'm going to need to get 2 months' rent as security deposit. Do you see how ridiculous that is? That never comes up in the real world. So no matter what you hear from other people about loopholes to get around this, like person's got a bad credit score, or you've got a written policy that requires it, or they agreed to it, none of those things work. And the teeth in the statute are, if you do this, if you require more than you're allowed to require, they can sue you and get that money back and get attorney's fees and damages. So let's go back to the question. I am worried about the credit worthiness of a tenant prospect. Can I charge several months' rent as security deposit? Isn't the real question, how can I improve my position? How can I make this tenant less of a credit risk? You cannot charge more than 1 month's rent as a security deposit for residential tenants in Alabama. You can charge as many months of prepaid rent as you feel you need and that you can successfully negotiate without losing the tenant. But it is prepaid rent and cannot be used for property damage or late fees. So if they rent in January, they pay the January rent of $1,000. They pay 1 month security deposit of $1,000. And then you say, man, your credit score is like 35. I'm going to need to get the October, November, and December rent paid in advance, an additional $3,000 before I can rent to you. And that's legitimate. You can require a guarantor. You can require the guarantor to put up its own security deposit for its own liability. You can charge a higher rent. If you've got a terrible credit score, credit card companies charge a higher interest rate. Insurance companies charge higher premiums. If you lease a car, it's more expensive. Everything's more expensive if you have bad credit. You can charge a higher rent, and hopefully the higher rent will help cover some of the risk of credit losses. Or you can do a combination of these things. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you've got suggestions for other videos, please let me know. This is Denise Evans, Butler Evans Real Estate. My phone number is 205-310-3799. That's my mobile number. Or you can email me at denise@butlerevansrealestate.com.